The CEO of OceanGate was dumber than we thought.
VeteranBiker arriving.
More information has started to trickle in about the OceanGate submersible disaster that happened on June the 18th. We are a little over, well, very close to being a month out from the actual disaster, and some of the information coming out is pretty alarming.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm blathering about. I've got information, man. New shit has come to light.
Some very troubling information is coming out in the news. Now, there were reports that they found some remains, and nothing's really been confirmed by any news source. And I made a video detailing what I thought about how I didn't believe there would be any remains. But, you know, if you found a fingernail or even some hair in some of the carbon fiber, technically that is remains. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a referral link for Blackout Coffee in the description below. You'll save 20%, and a small fraction of that will go to the channel and support what we're doing here. Well, if you're just tuning in, my name is the Veteran Biker. I'm retired from the United States Navy, worked quite a while on submarines, and now I make videos about current events, world events, and basically the clown show that we live in from a veteran's perspective. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. So the news that's coming out now is that Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate, former CEO, God bless his soul, had cut some corners on funding, and it obviously got to the point where he was buying expired carbon fiber from Boeing to build this submersible. And now he was even cutting corners further with the mothership or the tender that would carry the submersible on station to where the dives were going to be. Now, in previous expeditions, there was the mothership would actually carry on deck the OceanGate Titan submersible. That would be strapped down and very confined, not be able to move around at all. And it looks like they were cutting money or cutting back on money they were spending on the expedition, obviously more profit, to have another ship actually drag the submersible on a platform or on a floating sort of dry dock out across the ocean. Now, with that being said, carbon fiber can be very fragile. It can dent, it can crack. And if you've got this traveling along the surface of the ocean, depending on the types of seas that you have in the sea state, this thing is going to get beat up and battered around. That's pretty troubling with something like carbon fiber. Now, I'm not saying it would be better if it was titanium or steel, but definitely with something this fragile, I would not have cut corners on this, and which ultimately could have led to the actual disaster itself. I've got a couple of articles here I want to show you, and then one of the articles we're going to jump into about what are the repercussions or what some of these families could possibly do to follow up or to try to retrieve some monetary satisfaction through civil suits or various other lawsuits. Let me show you this article that just came out here. Okay, so this is from the Daily Mail, and sadly, they get some of the better news than our own lamestream media. So it says, disturbing new theory on why the Titan imploded. Experts claim the CEO or slam the CEO for hiring a cheaper mothership which dragged the shoddy sub across rough seas to the Titanic site, unlike the safe rival that's kept on deck. Experts say a number of cost-saving measures may have proved fatal for the Titan. 5 died when the sub imploded while diving to the Titanic wreck on the June 18th, and the Titan had several key differences from submersibles with long safety records. So that is pretty alarming that they cut cost and actually got a smaller mothership to drag this thing out. The North Atlantic can be rough any time of the year, and it's very dangerous at the best of times. This article just came out just yesterday. OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, who was killed in the June 18th disaster alongside 4 of his company, including the passengers, innovated the Titan's unique design, which he hoped would become a new industry standard. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. Nobody's copying this. Several moves designed to slash cost and make sea exploration more profitable may have also come with disastrous consequences. Engineering experts told the New York Times in an article published on Friday. Okay, by comparing the Titan with the Alvin, a U.S. government research sub, U.S. government's the Alvin, that has safely completed more than 4,500 deep dives since 1973. That's before I was born. That's 50 years old. And this thing's got 4,500 dives and it's still plugging along. The experts point out a number of design and protocol changes that may have doomed the Titan. Unlike the Titan, the Alvin was designed as a sphere with an all titanium hull, which was transported to the dive site on the deck of a mothership, while the Titan was towed across the rough waters of the North Atlantic on its small dive platform, potentially damaging the shoddy vessel before it imploded and killed 5. And you can see it here in this photo right here, how it's being drug out through that channel. The Polar Prince is the name of the ship, is seen towing the Titan submersible aboard its launch platform. Experts say a number of cost-cutting measures could have contributed to the disaster. A little further down, the Titan, owned and operated by OceanGate Expeditions, first began taking people to the Titanic in 2021. So it'd been working for 2 years. It was touted for a roomier cylinder made of carbon fiber. The Titan lost communications with its support vessel on June 18th during a descent to the wreck, 12,500 feet below the surface. Days later, its debris was recovered. Investigators believe the sub was crushed under the immense pressure. Yeah, that's a bad situation. It really is a bad situation. Before the Titan, submersibles, including the Alvin, had a strong track record of safety. Submersibles differ from submarines in that they must be launched at sea from a mothership. And I'm sure I've called it a submarine before, and I'm very positive others have as well. But that's the technical difference. It has to be launched from a mothership. The Alvin research sub is transported to dive sites on the deck. In contrast, the Titan had no dedicated mothership. There you go. You can see it here being loaded. This is the, I believe this is the Alvin. Yeah, that's the Alvin that's being loaded onto the mothership, the Atlantis. Here is the Titan being drugged through a channel across the ocean. This is why they believe, and experts believe, that it was damaged and could have ultimately led to the fatality of those 5 individuals on board. The other thing I want to show you here. Now, this is some of the drawings and things like that. Here's the Alvin, 4,500 deep dives since 1973. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Here's the OceanGate Titan. Now, one of Russia's main innovations, it says here, was the use of carbon fiber. The material reduced the Titan's weight to 21,000 pounds, compared with Alvin's 45,000 pounds. But experts say carbon composites are much stronger and tougher against pulling forces than they are crushing forces. So the crushing force is the overall pressure on the outside. This is the Titan's potential failure points, the carbon fiber hull. OceanGate admitted it is a broke design rule. Safety monitoring design system would only detect an issue milliseconds before implosion. That is not a lot of time to get back up. Milliseconds. That's, thousandths of a second. It's only certified to a depth of 4,300 foot. That's crazy. They only certified it to 4,300, and they were trying to get down to 12,500. So that's beyond its crush depth. You can see here where they were setting the acrylic viewport, a thruster, the titanium cap. So you have a cap over the back, but not the rest of the pressure hull. Very, very troubling. Very troubling. Here's the picture of the controller, the Logitech Xbox controller or whatever it is. Now, the other thing I want to talk about real quick is the possible litigation for OceanGate. Now, the waiver is very detailed and actually mentions 5 times in the waiver that you give up your right to sue. And it mentions very definitively that, death is a serious possible probability here. And these people sign these waivers. So I don't believe that there's going to be very much litigation. There might be some kind of like, here's some money. We're sorry about, your loss, but I really don't think they're going to sue or go anywhere in the lawsuit. The one thing that really backs that up is actually where the business is housed out of or financed out of, and it's licensed through the Bahamas. And I'm not sure of all the legality of having a business licensed in the Bahamas, but I'm sure it's very much different and much more lax than if it would be in the United States, where the actual business operated out of, which is Everett, Washington. I want to show you one other article here. So here's this article. This is from ABC News. The lawsuit alleged flaws with the Titanic submersible now missing. Okay. A former employee of OceanGate alleged in 2018 in a counterclaim lawsuit that he was fired for raising concerns about quality control. We all knew about this. The guy's named David Lockridge. He's an engineer and a submarine pilot. He claimed in his counterclaim against OceanGate he was fired or hired in 2005 by the Everett, Washington company. But when he expressed concerns about the design and testing of the mini sub's hull, he was terminated by the company. So basically, like a whistleblower in a government organization, he was terminated immediately. OceanGate had initially sued Lockridge for alleging, among other things, breach of contract, fraud, and misappropriation of trade secrets, all things that he denied. So, I mean, that's pretty telling, right? They fire a guy just because he brings up the possibility that this thing is dangerous. And they just say, you know what, you're done. Get out of here. Looks like ABC tried to reach out to OceanGate and Lockridge. Neither one of them are going to talk. They've lawyered up, and that's where it's going to be for a while. I don't know how far this is going to go or what kind of litigation is going to come out of this, but this is all around a disaster. OceanGate is at fault. This guy, Lockridge, obviously brought it up and pointed out that information, and he was quickly terminated. So could he have saved some lives if this thing would have came out and he would have spoken up further? Absolutely. Was he limited by his lawyer and the legality of possible slander, defamation, or even libel lawsuits? He was. OceanGate kept operating. They kept cutting costs. They're just profit-driven, or they were profit-driven. And they didn't want to hire any, experts, old white guy submarines sailors. They didn't want to hire them. So that's what happens when you cut cost. You put yourself at risk. And sadly, the crew of this, the 5 people that were on there, paid the ultimate price for someone cutting costs. This is the Veteran Biker. I'm going to get out of here. You guys take care. Just wanted to pass along a little update about the OceanGate submersible disaster. I'll see you on the road. Veteran Bikers out.